Book review, Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. This is a really lovely book and I'm going to read you the back of the book blurb. So, 12-year-old Sophie Foster has a secret, ... Sophie is a telepath and can hear the thoughts of everyone around her, something that she's never spoken about, even to her own family. But everything changes the day she meets Fitz, a mysterious boy who also reads minds. She discovered there's somewhere she does belong, and staying where she is will put her in grave danger. In the blink of an eye, Sophie is forced to leave everything behind and start a new life in a magical world. But not everyone is thrilled with her homecoming. There are secrets buried deep in Sophie's memory, secrets that other people desperately want, secrets they might even kill for. So I like this, and it says on the front, perfect for Harry Potter fans. And yeah, I think Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, things like that, there's elements in here. So if you like those sort of things, it's very interesting. Probably why we liked it as well is because it's similar to my series. And yeah, I love it. So I will tell you what I thought about this book. So I liked this story. It is true what they say. It's very similar to Harry Potter. Sophie is an elf, and she goes off to a school similar as Harry Potter did to learn how to tailor her skills. And Sophie realises that everything she knows and has learned is wrong, so she has to relearn it and redo it. She makes friends and she makes enemies, and she gets kidnapped and she goes off to Paris and she has an adventure of trying to get back. Now, there's quite a few in the series of these, so I'm going to focus on this book and then I'll review the other ones for you at a later date. Now, I thought it was quite nice. I didn't think it was that pacey, it was a bit too slow for me, intermittently. At times it would go fast and it would go slow. So not my sort of style in that sense, but definitely worth reading and going through. I haven't read the entire series yet, so I am going to do that. I'm just on book 3 at the moment. Absolutely think it's worthwhile reading though. So I would give this one 4 stars. I really like this, and I think you will too if you like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and things like that, like we do. And if you want to stay on, I'm going to read you chapter 3, or the first part of chapter 3, because I think it's really nice. So watch this space. Chapter 3. So, what? Sophie managed to say when she finally found her voice. You're saying I'm an alien? She held her breath. Fitz erupted into laughter. Her cheeks grew hot, but she was also relieved. She didn't want to be an alien. No, he said when he'd managed to compose himself. I'm saying you're an elf. An elf? The word hung in the air between them, a foreign object that didn't belong. An elf, she repeated. Visions of little people in tights and pointy ears danced through her brain, and she couldn't help giggling. You don't believe me. Do you really expect me to? I guess not. He ran his hands through his hair, making it stick out in wavy spikes, kind of like a rock star. Could someone that good looking be crazy? I'm telling you the truth, Sophie. I don't know what else to say. Okay, she agreed. If he refused to be serious, so would she. Fine, I'm an elf. Am I supposed to help Frodo destroy the ring and save Middle-earth, or do I have to make toys in the North Pole? He let out a sigh, but a smile hid in the corners of his mouth. Would it help if I showed you? Oh, sure, this ought to be good. She folded her arms as he pulled out a slender silver wand with intricate carvings etched into the sides. At the tip, a small round crystal sparkled in the sunlight. Is that your magic wand? She couldn't resist asking. He rolled his eyes. Actually, it's a pathfinder. He spun the crystal and locked it into place with a silver latch at the top. Now, this can be dangerous. Do you promise you'll do exactly what I tell you to do? Her smile faded. That depends. What do I have to do? You need to take my hand and concentrate on holding on. And by concentrate, I mean you can't think about anything else no matter what happens. Can you do that? Why? Do you want proof or not? She wanted to say no. He couldn't actually prove anything. What was he going to do? Whisk her away to some magic elf land? But she was curious. And really, what harm could come of holding someone's hand? She willed her palms not to sweat as their fingers laced together. Her heart did that stupid fluttery thing again, and her hand tingled everywhere their skin touched. He glanced over his shoulder, scanning the parking lot again. Okay, we're done. We're alone. We go on 3. You ready? What happens on 3? He shot her a warning look, and she scowled at him. But she bit her tongue and concentrated on holding his hand, ignoring her heart racing. Seriously, when did she become one of those silly girls? 1, he counted, raising the wand. Sunlight hit a facet in the crystal, and a bright beam refracted toward the ground. 2, he tightened his grip. Sophie closed her eyes. 3. Fitz pulled her forward, and the warm tingling in her hand shot through her body, like a million feathers swelling under her skin, tickling her from the inside out. She fought off a giggle and concentrated on Fitz. But where was he? She knew she was clinging to him, but it felt like her body had melted into goo, and the only thing keeping her from oozing away was a blanket of warmth wrapped around her. Then, faster than the blink of an eye, the warmth faded, and she opened her eyes. Her mouth fell open as she tried to take it all in. She might have even squeaked. She stood at the edge of a glassy river lined with impossibly tall trees, fanning out their wide emerald leaves among the puffy white clouds. Across the river, a row of crystal castles glittered in the sunlight in a way that could make Walt Disney want to throw rocks at his magic kingdom. To her right, a golden path led into a sprawling city, where the elaborate domed buildings seemed to be built from brick-sized jewels. Each structure a different colour, snow-capped mountains surrounding the lush valley, and the crisp, cool air smelled like cinnamon and chocolate and sunshine. Places this beautiful weren't supposed to exist, much less appear out of thin air. You can let go of my hand now, Sophie jumped. She'd forgotten about Fitz. Her hand released his, and as the blood tingled in her fingertips, she realised how hard she'd been squeezing. She looked around, unable to make sense of anything she saw. The castle towers twisted like spun sugar, and something seemed oddly familiar about them, but she couldn't figure out what it was. Where are we? Our capital. We call it Eternalia, but you might have heard it called Shangri-La before. Shangri-La, she repeated, shaking her head. Shangri-La is real. All of the lost cities are real, but now you'd picture them, I'm sure. But not how you'd picture them, I'm sure. Human stories rarely get anything right. Think of all the ridiculous things you've heard about elves. She had to laugh at that. And the sharp burst of sound echoed off the trees. It was so quiet there, just the gentle breeze brushing her face and the soft murmur of the river. No traffic, no chatter, no hammering unspoken thoughts. She could get very used to the silence, but it felt strange too, like something was missing. Where is everyone? She asked, rising on her tiptoes to get a better view of the city. The streets were a ghost town. Fitz pointed into a domed building that towered over all the others. The green stones of its walls looked like giant emeralds, but for some reason the building sparkled less than all the others. It looked like a serious place for serious things. See the blue banner flying? That means a tribunal is in progress. Everyone's watching the proceedings. A tribunal? When the council, basically our royalty, holds a hearing, they decide if someone's broken a law. They're kind of a big deal when they happen. Why? He shrugged. Laws are rarely broken. Well, that was different. Humans broke the law all the time. She shook her head. Was she really thinking of humans as something other? But how else could she explain where she was? She tried to wrap her mind around the idea, tried to force it to make sense. So, she said, cringing over her ridiculous next question, this is magic? Fitz laughed, a full-body laugh, like it was the funniest thing he'd ever heard. She glared at him. It couldn't be that funny. No, he said when he'd regained control. Magic is a stupid idea humans came up with to explain things they couldn't understand. Okay, she said, trying to cling to the remaining strands of her sanity. Then how can we be here when 5 minutes ago we were in San Diego? He held the Pathfinder up to the sun, casting a ray of life onto his hand. Light leaping, we hitched a ride on a beam of light that was heading straight here. That's impossible. Is it? And I'm going to leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed that, and yeah, brilliant. 4 stars. Go for a good read.